Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Imagine a future where your finances aren't just secure, but they're thriving. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on building a financial plan that isn't just a good idea, but your blueprint for freedom and peace of mind. And what is a financial plan, really? It's more than numbers on a page. It's the roadmap to your dreams, your family's security, and your legacy. So, on tonight's show, is your invitation to assemble your financial dream team. Are you ready to turn uncertainty into confidence and build a legacy that lasts? Today, I'm joined by Shiho Okuyama. Shiho is a senior investment advisor and portfolio manager at BMO Private Wealth. Your financial future starts now, so please let's dive in. Shiho, welcome to Empowered. So happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
So let's begin. Tell me about your role as an investment advisor and your approach to wealth management.
So my role is to help clients increase their net worth, and I do it in one of two ways. The first is to grow their investment portfolio, and the second, which is equally as important, is to help protect their assets through strategic planning. I use a holistic approach, and I service the high net worth segment of the market.
So tell me more about the holistic approach. What are the different components of the wealth management?
Yeah, I like to call them the 5 pillars of wealth management. So you'll have your investment management, you'll have your financial planning, your estate planning and insurance. You'll also have trust services. There's also banking and philanthropic services. So 5 pillars of wealth management.
Okay, so who are the key players in one's financial dream team, and how does an advisor go about assembling this team?
When you talk about an investment advisor, you often hear the analogy that your advisor is the quarterback of your team, because your advisor understands that their role is not just to increase your investment portfolio, but they understand that it's one component of your overall financial picture. So they're going to pull together all the different key players to help you achieve your goals. They're going to be different. They might come in and out of your life at different times, but they could be your insurance advisor, your banker, your lawyer, and your accountant. So different key professionals that you want to have on your dream team.
And it's important that they all talk to you, right? So it's important that they all share information with you.
Yes.
So they often say it's a good idea to have a financial plan, but I don't think a lot of people actually know what a financial plan is. You hear about it all the time. What exactly is it?
So everyone has different goals and dreams. Everyone has a wish list. Essentially, your financial plan is your wish list quantified, putting some numbers around it. So for some people, it might be to purchase their first home. It might be to help their kids through education, or it could be to retire early. So when we come to the actual financial plan, oftentimes it starts with your net worth statement. So what are your assets? What do you own? And what are your liabilities? What do you owe? From there, we're going to project everything into the future. We're going to factor in things like rate of return, taxation, inflation. And once we get to the retirement analysis piece, for example, say you want to retire at age 55. Maybe you want to retire at age 65. Well, what are the different sources of income that you're going to need to help fund your retirement? It could be things like CPP, OAS, perhaps you have a company pension, and you're going to be pulling assets from your savings or your investments.
So what I'm hearing from you is that it's important for couples to come and see you, because a lot of times women will step back because they're busy with the family, busy with other things. They feel that their spouse is better at it. But I know, and you know, that it's important for the couple to come in together so that they can have the same vision, or you find out that they have the same vision.
Yeah, exactly. Just the common goals. They can have different interests, but their common goal should align.
Because, you know, I've heard a few times that when the couple has come in to talk about their financial plan and figure out the retirement, the husband will say one thing, the wife will say something else, and they look at each other and say, well, I didn't know about this. This is news to me. And I think it's really, really important for this vision to be shared, especially with an investment advisor who can pull together that dream team for them. So don't go away. We'll be right back with more discussion about, you know, how to prepare for your retirement properly so that you don't actually have surprises in the office of the dream team. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today's topic, building your financial dream team. So, Shiho, let's talk about generations, because we see all these commercials everywhere and they talk about you're not using your dad's investment advisor. Generational help when it comes to financial planning is very, very important. So, you often work with several generations in one family. How have you been able to help the next generation of kids?
Now, a lot of my clients are of the sandwich generation. They're in that ooey gooey squishy middle where they've got kids on one side. They might be helping them with education, maybe talking about buying their first home. And then on the other end, they might have aging parents. They're taking them to medical appointments. They're talking about long-term care or even transitioning to a retirement home. Now, I'll give you an example when it comes to the kids. So sometimes my clients will say, hey, Shiho, my son or daughter, they're looking to purchase their first home. So we're going to have a conversation about the FHSA, which is the first home savings account. It could be the home buyer's plan where they're pulling money out of their RSP. These are tax efficient vehicles that are available. Now, of course, when they're ready to purchase a home, chances are they're going to need a mortgage. This is where we're going to pull in your banker, because your banker, they're going to be the expert. They're going to walk us through all of the different options. For example, what type of mortgage should they get? Should they get a fixed mortgage or a variable mortgage? What about the term? Should it be 3 years or 5 years? And are there any special lump sum payments or privileges that they can put down to pay off the mortgage faster? So again, the banker will be able to help walk them through their options. And that's just one example of how your banker can help.
So you spoke about helping the adult children of your clients. It could be to help them through university, buying a home, as you said. But what about families with young children? Is there anything planning work that can be done at this stage?
Yes, families with young children, insurance is an excellent tool. So say, for example, you had a term 20 policy, which means that you were covered for 20 years. Heaven forbid something should happen to you. Well, you would have the financial peace of mind knowing that your loved ones, your beneficiaries, your family would come into a tax-free lump sum benefit. Now, your family, they can use those funds for anything they want. It could be to help raise your children and pay for the day-to-day expenses. It could be to put the money towards the mortgage or even towards future education costs. So again, this is where you want to have an insurance advisor working on your team. They're going to do what is called a needs analysis, and they're going to be able to make sure that you're adequately covered. Now, that's just one example, term insurance. There's plenty of other kinds. Another example is whole life. Now, the reasons why you might get whole life are slightly different. It could be, for example, to offset a tax bill to the estate, or it could be the tax-efficient transfer of wealth to the next generation. So again, having an insurance advisor to help you walk through the options and do a needs analysis for you.
So it's important to surround yourself with a really good team.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now you've shared some examples of how we might be able to help our kids. But what about the other side if we have elderly parents, which a lot of us do? As Canadians, we're all living longer. And what types of planning discussions would you be having with clients with their aging parents or with aging parents?
So sometimes clients will share with me that they've got a mother or a father who lives alone and they are fiercely independent. But sometimes the parent is wondering, what if I wanted to move into a retirement home? Could I afford it? Because at present, they don't have a whole lot of expenses. They might have heat and hydro, they might have property tax, but not a whole lot of expenses. So what we'll do is we'll do a financial plan for the parent, and we'll be able to see how much they can comfortably afford. So Elizabeth, you can see what we've just done. We've now eliminated and we've removed the financial stressor because we know how much they can afford. Now the conversation becomes, well, what does mom or dad want? Or what's in the best interest for mom or dad?
And I think that's really important. It's that whole conversation thing as well. I mean, we talked about that. I think communication is really, really important and not making assumptions, because I think that's one of the problems that we have with people who are investing. There's always assumptions that they make and they don't come out and ask the right questions. And here, when you've got the spouse, you've got the parents, you've got the kids, you've got the entire family in there talking to each other and figuring things out for their future. So don't go away. We'll be right back with more talk about building a dream team for your retirement and everything else. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, building your financial dream team. Okay, Shiho, let's talk about estate planning, because that's a very, very important topic. How can families best prepare for this?
I often encourage people to make sure they've got their legal documents in order. Of course, this is where you're going to have a lawyer and they're going to help document your wishes. The reason is because there can be a lot of unintended consequences of poor estate planning. So I'll give you an example. Imagine you have Jane. Jane has two daughters. She's got Rachel and she's got Eva. Now, it's Jane's intent that each of the daughters receive an equal share of the inheritance. So she names Rachel the beneficiary of her $500,000 RIF account, and she names Eva the beneficiary of her $500,000 estate. You would think it was 50-50. Not so.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Eva, she is going to receive significantly less than Rachel, and here's why. The way our system works is if something should happen to Jane, that $500,000 sitting in the RIF account is going to bypass the estate and be paid direct to Rachel. But as you know, it's the estate that's responsible for the taxes. And that is not what Jane had intended. So again, really, really important to get a lawyer, make sure your wishes are documented so you avoid these problems. Now, the other thing I'll say is just because you have your will in place, you can't stop at that. From time to time, things in your life are going to shift and change, and it's important to revise and revisit your will.
And I think it's important as well just to add that if you are putting together an estate plan, go to an estate lawyer. Don't go to a real estate lawyer. Don't go to, I don't know, your business lawyer or whatever. Go to a proper estate lawyer. And, you know, I've heard people say, oh, but that's expensive. Well, life is expensive, but if you want it done properly, you need to pay a little bit more for it. So I think it's really, really important. I want to talk about examples as well of when someone should revise their will.
Yeah, we often call them material changes. So I'll give you a few examples. Is there a birth in the family? And are there additional children or grandchildren that you might want to include in your will? Another example is there a death in the family? And might you want to change your beneficiaries or even change your executor or your trustee? A third example is, has there been a change in your marital status? Is it a first marriage, a second marriage, or perhaps we're going through a divorce? Another example is, has there been a change in your financial situation since the last writing of your will? Have you bought or sold property? Have you bought or sold a business? Or have you received an inheritance? And one last example I could give you is, have you moved? Have you moved to a different province? Have you moved to a different country where the laws are different? So those would be examples of material changes.
I also want to add something, because this is something that I'm really passionate about and I'm trying to get the ball rolling. I think people should also add their pets in their wills. There are so many pets that are taken back to a shelter or a rescue. My pet was kicked out of the house when the executor came in and their owner passed away. We need to add enough money for pets, and we also need to make sure that they are part of our wills as well. This is just something that I'm crusading right now.
It's an excellent point.
So let's move on to tax minimization right now. That's another very important topic. Can you give us an example where strategies can be used to help families reduce their taxes?
Yeah, Elizabeth, that is a big one. And there are hundreds of ways to minimize tax. So of course, you're going to want to have an accountant helping you with this. For example, say for example, you had a couple, they are high income earners, and they're at the top marginal tax bracket. Now, let's say this couple, they have a cottage, and it's always been their intent to one day sell the cottage, take the proceeds out, and add it to their retirement fund.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's imagine they have no timeline. They could sell it today, they could sell it in 5 years, maybe in 10 years. So I'm going to walk you through 2 scenarios. So scenario 1, imagine that they sell their cottage today. Chances are they're going to have some capital gains tax to pay, but they will likely be paying it at the highest marginal tax bracket. Scenario 2, if they decide to sell their cottage after they retire, chances are they're going to be in a much lower tax bracket because they no longer have that employment income. So while we always say that you should never base your decisions on taxation alone, it's really important to make sure that you, in this case, they would have saved themselves tens of thousands of dollars in tax.
Important words of wisdom. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, building your financial dream team, and I'm joined by Shiho Okuyama, Senior Investment Advisor and Portfolio Manager at BMO Private Wealth. Okay, Shiho, last segment, we have a lot to cover here, so let's go. Now, you've spoken about several key professionals you'll want to have on your dream team. Who else is there that can help us, that will get closer to reaching our financial goals?
Yeah. Start a money club, and let me explain.
Okay.
So 17 years ago, my friend, she read a book called The Smart Cookies. And The Smart Cookies was a book about how 5 friends from Vancouver, BC got together and formed a money club because they wanted to take control over their finances. Now, The Smart Cookies, they wrote a book, they had a website, they were on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So inspired by their success, she wanted to replicate the same. And she wanted to get a group of friends who were equally as committed to achieving their financial goals as she was. So we started our own club, and we called ourselves Common Sense, sense with a C.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so for anyone who wants to start this, what's the structure of this club? Like, how do you do, like, why do you start?
So the structure of the club is we would go through the chapters, we met on a monthly basis, and we would track and trace our goals. What we found was that not only were we accountable to each other, but we were accountable to our future selves. And the other thing that we found is looking back, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you know you've got other people pulling for your success.
And you know what? That's what we need as women, too. We need to be surrounded with people that will pull for our success. Now, how do you keep your future self accountable?
I think you track and trace your goals, and you just have to keep reminding yourself that it's always going to be a learning. You try something once, and you just keep trusting yourself.
Well, that's a good thing, actually. Okay, so share about some of the group members and how they benefited from being in the club.
Yeah. So one of the members was avoiding her financial skeletons. What had happened was in her early 20s, she had racked up all this debt, and it's daunting and overwhelming to deal with. But with the structure of the group, not only did she pay off her debt, but she also managed to save enough to pay to purchase her first home.
Amazing.
And another example I could give you is one of the members would often say that in working together and how we learn to be intentional about the way we spend our money, she said that it became part of our financial DNA. So now, as we are individually making financial decisions, we carry that with us.
And how many people are in your group?
5.
So there's 5. And what happens if you have more? Say they're 10. Is it harder? Does it dilute things?
We like to keep it quite close and close-knit. And again, like we're accountable to each other. So, and then also we celebrate our wins together.
I love it. And how long have you been doing this?
Oh gosh, so 17 years ago is when we started.
That's amazing.
It's been a long time.
That's great. And what a great way to build a friendship as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, so like me, you are a financial literacy advocate, and it's one of our passions. Tell me about your video series.
Yeah, so I run a financial literacy series. It's called Your 212, Wealth Management Tips in 2 minutes over 12 months. Now, Liz, I know how busy everyone is, so I purposely created this series to be short, straight to the point, no fluff. Anybody who watches this series will increase their knowledge, and if they apply the tips and tricks, they will also increase their net worth.
Excellent. And now, so what was the origin story of 212? And, I know you started because of your financial literacy passion, but how did you start it?
So believe it or not, it started during COVID because we were all confined to our own homes. We had no access to the outside world. And I just thought to myself, how do we make sure that we as financial professionals continue to deliver this very important information? Because I will say that while there is very good information out there, there's a lot of information that hasn't been vetted, does not come from a credible source, or is not applicable or suitable. So how do we as financial professionals ensure that we continue to educate the investing public? And most of my videos are on LinkedIn, and I also house them on my website.
I love it. And I love the fact that we are financial professionals. So we are highly regulated. We're not finfluencers jumping up and down, saying buy this or sell this. Thank you so much for your time, Shiho. This was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Shiho says at times managing your finances can feel overwhelming. The key message from today's show is you don't have to do it alone. Financial professionals are available to help. And if you're looking for added support, consider starting your own money club. It's a powerful way to learn, earn, and grow together. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, and I'm here to empower you and make frugality fashionable. Bye for now.